Aston Villa, a match that was supposed to reinforce our title ambitions but instead left us questioning how a team with such quality, desire, and momentum could walk away from 90 minutes with nothing to show but frustration, confusion, and the sting of missed opportunities. Because the truth is that this match felt like much more than just another Premier League fixture. It felt like a test of mentality, a moment where Arsenal needed to show the resilience and ruthlessness that defines champions. Yet somehow we faltered at the critical moments, allowing Villa to exploit small gaps, punish minor errors, and turn the atmosphere from hopeful to suffocating, especially considering the expectations that fans carried into the match, expectations built on strong performances, improved chemistry, and individual brilliance from players like Saka, Ødegaard, Rice, Gabriel, and Saliba, all of whom have proven countless times that they can rise to any occasion. But yesterday, things simply didn't connect the way they needed to. Not because the team lacked effort, but because football sometimes delivers nights where luck, precision, and collective focus don't align. And this was undeniably one of those nights where every misplaced pass, every delayed run, every half-second hesitation suddenly felt costly, with Aston Villa capitalizing on the rare vulnerabilities that Arsenal displayed, forcing us to relive moments in our minds where we can't help but think, what if? What if we finished that early chance? What if we stayed switched on for the second ball? What if we had been more decisive in the final third? And what if we had managed the small details that often separate victory from defeat in a league as demanding as the Premier League? But despite the pain, what stands out most is the emotional weight this defeat carries, because Arsenal fans across the world woke up with the same question burning inside them. How do we respond? How do we bounce back? How does Arteta recalibrate the mentality of this squad so that one setback doesn't derail the season? And the answer lies in the character of the team, in the spirit that has carried us through tough moments before, the same spirit that has transformed this group from a young, inconsistent side into a team capable of challenging at the highest level. Because while yesterday's loss highlighted weaknesses that must be addressed, whether it's sharper decision-making in transition, greater composure under pressure, or more clinical finishing in crucial moments, it also reminded us that this journey requires patience, resilience, and unity from players, coaches, and fans alike. And in moments like this, when emotions run high and frustration clouds judgment, it is essential to remember that every great team in the history of this sport has encountered matches that force them to grow, evolve, and adapt. And maybe, just maybe, this defeat will become one of those turning points, the kind that motivates the squad to train harder, focus deeper, and fight with even more hunger in the matches ahead, especially knowing that the Premier League title race is unforgiving, unpredictable, and incredibly competitive, meaning that each setback is an opportunity to show maturity, composure, and collective strength, qualities that Arsenal have been building under Arteta's leadership. And as painful as yesterday was, the truth is that this team has the ability to turn disappointment into fuel, to convert frustration into determination, and to ensure that one loss does not define their story. Because the real test is not whether you fall, but whether you rise, and Arsenal must rise now, together with their supporters, who remain the heartbeat of the club, singing through victory and defeat, hoping, believing, and standing behind a team that has shown time and time again that it can deliver extraordinary football. And as we look ahead, we must carry the lessons from the Aston Villa defeat with clarity, understanding that improvement is necessary, but collapse is not an option. Because this season still holds opportunity, redemption, and potential glory. And with every setback comes a chance for a stronger comeback. So let us hold our heads high, keep our faith strong, and continue pushing forward with belief in Arsenal, belief in Arteta, and belief in the players who wear the badge with pride. Because this defeat may hurt, but it will not break us. And the journey continues with even greater determination. And as we shift our focus from the overall defeat to the players themselves, the feelings become even more intense, because each Arsenal player carries a unique story, a unique level of responsibility, a unique emotional weight from yesterday's loss to Aston Villa. And when we look closely at the squad, we see individuals who gave everything, but still walked off the pitch feeling like they could have done more, feeling like they let the moment slip away. And starting with Bukayo Saka, the young star who carries the hopes of millions, you could see the frustration on his face every time a dribble didn't come off, every time a cross failed to find a teammate, every time he was marked tightly and still tried to push through, still tried to create that spark that Arsenal desperately needed. Because Saka is the heartbeat of this team, the one who always steps up, but even he felt the weight of yesterday, knowing that sometimes even the brightest players cannot carry the entire burden alone. And then there is Martin Ødegaard, the captain, the conductor, the creative engine who dictates the rhythm of Arsenal's play. And although he tried to push forward, tried to control the tempo, tried to find pockets of space, Villa's pressure made his evening difficult. And you could feel the disappointment in every gesture, because Ødegaard always expects perfection from himself, always demands more. And yesterday he walked off the pitch knowing that he must lead the response. He must guide the team through the storm, because that is what true captains do. And moving to Declan Rice, the warrior in midfield, the 100 million pound presence whose strength, composure, and ball-winning ability have been essential all season. Yet even he felt the battle slipping away as Villa found ways to bypass the press. And Rice, being the competitor he is, will replay the match in his mind over and over, thinking of how he could have controlled transitions better, how he could have suppressed Villa's momentum sooner. Because he is not satisfied with simply being good. He wants to be dominant, decisive, and flawless. And then there is Gabriel and William Saliba, the center-back pairing that has been one of the best in Europe, a partnership built on trust, power, and tactical understanding. Yet even they found themselves in tough situations yesterday, moments where the defensive line was stretched, where positioning needed to be sharper, where Villa's movement tested them more than expected. And defenders always take defeats personally because every goal conceded echoes in their minds long after the match ends, pushing them to return stronger, more focused, more disciplined, because they know that their consistency is the foundation of Arsenal's success. And in the fullback positions, Oleksandr Zinchenko and Ben White felt the pressure too, rising and falling with the momentum of the match, trying to balance attack and defense, trying to support the midfield, trying to provide outlets for progression, but facing Villa's intensity made those responsibilities heavier. And both players walked away knowing that they must sharpen their decisions in tight games like this, because modern fullbacks carry massive influence on both sides of the pitch, and this match reminded them of how fine the margins are at the highest level. And in the forward line, Gabriel Jesus, with his tenacity, creativity, and unselfishness, battled relentlessly, but still left the pitch frustrated because strikers judge themselves by goals, by decisive moments. And Jesus knows he had opportunities to produce that spark, that breakthrough, but things didn't click. And as a leader in the squad, he will feel the weight of that deeply, not because he lacks effort, but because he demands more from himself, from his finishing, from his timing, from his influence in big games. And he will surely return hungrier in the next match, determined to put things right. And players like Havertz, Trossard, and Martinelli also carry their own emotional loads after this loss, because each of them had moments where they could have changed the game, where sharper execution could have swung the momentum, where small lapses ended up costing the team in transitions or finishing moves, and they will analyze those moments with intensity, knowing that in a title race, every touch, every run, every decision matters, especially against tough opponents like Villa. And even the bench players, those who didn't get many minutes, feel the defeat deeply, because the entire squad is connected, united, and emotionally invested in every match, meaning that this loss is not just a statistic, it's a shared wound, a collective moment of reflection and responsibility. And each Arsenal player will return to training with a renewed purpose, determined to correct their errors, determined to prove themselves, determined to ensure that this defeat does not become a trend, because they know the fans expect a response, the manager expects resilience, and they themselves expect excellence. And together, they must rise, stronger, sharper, more united than before.